Hey, so this video is for all the bootcamp grads and everyone that's about to start their career as a software engineer. And it's also for anyone that's just starting a new job as a software engineer, because I'm going to be sharing with you steps that you should take to hit the ground running when you start working as a software engineer, so that you can make a good first impression and start being able to take on tickets and write code quickly at your new job. So if any of that applies to you, or you're thinking about learning to code and becoming a software engineer, this video is for you. So make sure that you listen to all the steps that I'll be sharing, and also just comment below any questions that you have along the way, and I'll get back to you. My name is TJ Oyeniyi, and I'm a self-taught software engineer that teaches beginners how to code in my coding bootcamp and helps them to get jobs as software engineers. Check the description below to learn more about my coding bootcamp, and to also get my free coding curriculum that has interactive tutorials, practice problems, and projects to help you to start learning to code for free. Now, let's get started. So when you begin working as a software engineer, on your first day, they are going to give you your work laptop and give you access to the code base so that you can download the software application that you're going to be working on onto your laptop. After that, one of the engineers on the team is going to walk you through the code base so that you can start learning where things are in the code and seeing how the code is organized. Once you have all that done, now we can start talking about the 3 steps that you should take to hit the ground running. So step number 1, log into the application and create your own account so that you can use the application the same way that a user would. And you can also get one of the engineers or someone on the QA team to actually walk you through this process as well. So if you want to learn the code base at your company a lot faster, the best thing to do is to get a basic understanding of how the actual software application works by using it. That way, when you're actually looking at the code, you know exactly which part of the application the code is referring to, and you don't have to play this guessing game in your head where you're trying to imagine what things should look like. And also, one of the values that new people bring onto an engineering team is their fresh perspective. So even as a junior engineer or just a new engineer on the team, your thoughts and experience while using the software can help you to suggest areas of improvements that the other engineers on the team might not have noticed, since they spent all day working on it. And also, when you use the application, you'll have better questions to ask, and you also have a better understanding of the work that's going to be assigned to you. So step number 1 is a step that you can't miss if you want to get ahead and make a good impression at your new job as a software engineer. And step number 1 is to actually use the application by logging in, creating your own account, and going through some of the basic workflows that a real user would when they use the software. Now, let's talk about step number 2. To help you hit the ground running at your new software engineering job, read the tests for the main parts of the code base that your team works on. That's step number 2. Reading tests for code is a good way to quickly learn the code base, because it shows you how the code is supposed to work. And it's also a really good way to learn how to write tests if that's something that you're still working on. Now, this is a hack that you can use to quickly help you to get up to speed on any code base that you're going to be working on. Because as you are reading the tests, you'll also be reading the actual code side by side and seeing how the logic is supposed to work based on how the test is written. And also, since you know what the UI looks like from step number 1, where you use the application the same way a user would, this now makes it a lot easier for you to understand the test that you're reading, because you have a clear picture of how users use the application and a better understanding of the workflow that the test is testing. So don't skip this step. Now, let's get into step number 3. This is the last and final step that you should take to help you to quickly get up to speed at your new job as a software engineer and put you in a good place to start being a valuable code contributing member of the engineering team sooner rather than later. Step number 3 is to read the pull request in the GitHub repository of your company. By doing this, you'll be able to see exactly what the team is currently working on, and you also get to see the code changes that they recently published. If you don't know what a pull request is on GitHub, it's a way for you to see the code changes that were recently made to any code base. So when you want to add new code or just make any code changes, you have to create what's called a pull request, which is where you are asking for permission to merge your code changes into the code base. So if you read through pull requests on GitHub, it'll show you the exact changes that were made in the code base so that you can quickly see what your team has been working on and get a good understanding of what changes are being made in the code base. And just real quick, when it comes to imposter syndrome, like I know a lot of people like to talk about imposter syndrome, but if you follow all 3 steps that I mentioned in this video, you're not gonna have that much imposter syndrome, because a lot of the code you'll be writing when you first start working as a software engineer, you'll see plenty of examples to reference when you're reading through the code base, and also when you're reading through the tests, and when you're reading through the pull requests. The more code that you see from the team that you're gonna be working on, the better you understand what your team is currently working on, and the easier it'll be for you to write code when you get assigned a task, because you have plenty of examples to reference from you following those first 3 steps. And that's it. So when you start a new job as a software engineer, make sure that you create your own account on the software application that you're going to be working on, and actually use that software the same way that a user would. And 2, make sure that you read through the tests in the code base. And 3, read through the pull requests in the GitHub to help you get a good understanding of the recent code changes that your team has been working on. That's it. Do those 3 and you're not going to really deal with imposter syndrome, and you are going to be ready to start contributing code really quickly to whatever team that you join. So that's it. Comment below to let me know if you have any questions, and also make sure that you check the description below to grab my free coding curriculum to help you to start learning to code.